All right, let's start here for you this hour. The Democratic Alliance claims it now has proof that President Cyril Ramaphosa lied about the millions that were stolen from his Phala Phala farm in Limpopo. DA leader John Steenhuisen says information coming from the Revenue Service proves otherwise. He joins me now to expand on this new evidence. In their response to the party, SARS says records to declare the cash do not exist or cannot be found. Sudanese businessman Hazim Mustafa previously told eNCA's Annika Larson that he declared the cash when he came to South Africa to purchase game from Ramaphosa's farm. Let's speak to John Steenhuisen now. He joins us on the platform, on Zoom rather. Mr. Steenhuisen, thank you very much for your time. This surely then exonerates the findings by that panel led by, that was appointed rather by the Speaker of Parliament, Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, last year to say there is prima facie evidence against the President.
Correct. And what it does is expands the tissue of lies that surrounds the Phala Phala matter and the President's explanation. In December last year, he tried to pass this off as a legitimate business transaction. And we heard this businessman coming forward saying he declared the money. As a result of that, we submitted a Promotion of Access to Information Act query to SARS to obtain the documentation that facilitated the arrival of these dollars in the country as required by the law. Surprise, surprise, the document doesn't exist. So clearly this undermines completely the President's attempts to try and pass this off as some form of legitimate business transaction when it has been anything but. And frankly, it stinks to high heavens. Dirty dollars in the country, brought in unlawfully, illegally, under the cover of darkness to pay for cattle that have never been collected. And frankly, the murkiness around this issue provides us with even more initiative and impetus now to have an ad hoc inquiry in Parliament so we can finally get the truth about what really happened with Phala Phala.
And with the Constitutional Court also denying him access to actually, go against this Phala Phala report, it looks like the problems for the President when it comes to this particular deal are far from over.
Absolutely. And bear in mind, we're still waiting for the Public Protector report.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for a sign from the South African Reserve Bank. And we're still waiting, of course, for any police inquiry into the theft and the circumstances thereof. So the President's in deep trouble politically and constitutionally now, and his credibility is frankly shot to pieces while this issue remains unresolved. And I really think it's high time that the President stops forum shopping and trying to twist and turn in the wind to try and avoid an honest explanation for how that money ended up in his couch at his private home. And I think he owes the country a solid answer as to what really happened at Phala Phala, because his house of cards is now falling to pieces one by one as the truth starts to emerge.
But what does it also say, Mr. Steenhuisen, about the country's state security, especially looking at the fact that that institution or that department was also brought into the presidency not so long ago?
Yes, of course. And this should be a huge matter of concern. And again, we saw just this last week with Mr. De Ruyter indicating that he had spoken directly to Mr. Sidney Mufamadi, who's the President's National Security Advisor, and told him who was involved, and yet the President denied any knowledge about who was involved at the Eskom and who these senior ministers or government officials were. So clearly we have a huge problem. Our state security agency is long overdue for an overhaul. It's a terrible decision to put them in the presidency because clearly there's a conflict of interest now, and it will no doubt be used as a political tool. But frankly, we should have got to the bottom of this. And I believe the onus is on the President, who took an oath of office before all of us to uphold the law of the Republic and to act in a way which promoted the Constitution. I think that the ducking and diving that we've seen by the President over Phala Phala, and now the latest revelations that are coming out, hot on the heels of the documentation produced by the Namibian government, that in fact there was interaction with the South African counterparts, despite their denial that that had ever happened. It is a tissue of lies that is being exposed. And I think the President needs to man up, come onto television, and provide a full account about what really happened there. Otherwise, this is going to continue to significantly hamper his credibility both locally and internationally.
Exactly, and probably even our own as a country that has already been put on that grey list with countries such as South Sudan and even Syria. But also, Mr. Steenhuisen, I wonder what your thoughts are about the public protector. You mentioned that we still haven't seen that report. We got confirmation from that office that they were done with the report by the 24th of January. They said it has to go through quality control, checks, etc. It's now the 6th of March, and we still don't have this particular report. And now there's this update from you with this affidavit from SARS. I wonder what your thoughts are around that and the way forward from now on after receiving this document from SARS.
Yeah, I'm very frustrated because, as you know, I laid the complaint with the Public Protector's Office some time ago. And I've received a update from them once, a face-to-face update, and they indicated that the report was nearing finalization. I really am deeply worried about why this report is taking so long to emerge, because it obviously has significant implications. And it's very important that we know what the content of those reports are and what information the Public Protector's Office has been able to traverse. We've already seen a Public Protector's Office being abused by factions within the governing party. And I would really want to hope that the acting Public Protector is rooting all of that out and is going to be doing her best to restore credibility to that office. The fact that this report is now heavily overdue, despite the requirement that executive ethics complaints, which the Public Protector is required to investigate, should be completed within 30 days. We're still now waiting for this report a number of months, almost a year, since the complaints were first lodged with that office. So I hope they get a move on. I think we deserve to know what the truth is surrounding the Phala Phala matter. And I think, frankly, South Africans are sick and tired of being taken for fools and fed a tissue of lies when all we require is the truth.